So a big thank you to BT Digital Skills for always supporting the digital tour. And with that, I will hand over to Lucinda and I will join you back at the end.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. And welcome everybody. I'm absolutely delighted to be here today to deliver this webinar. We should be running for just about an hour. If you've got pens and paper ready to take some notes, but like I say, if you've got any questions, use the Q&A and we'll have a look at those at the end. But hopefully, as we go through everything, a lot of those questions should be answered. And if there is anything very specific or very tailored to you and your business that perhaps you don't want to share, then we can connect afterwards and obviously have a chat about it at any point then. So a little bit about myself. So my name's Lucinda. I'm the founder of Pure Awards. I am an award-winning founder as well, which was fantastic to be on the F Entrepreneur 100 list in 2024. So I was really, really delighted with that. And it has been an absolute springboard for lots of other opportunities as well, which, you know, be able to share with you how you can maximise the awards going forward in your business as well by entering and winning, hopefully, your awards coming up. So we do award writing, we do check and send proofreading service, we do strategic award planners, we also write funding bids and things for charities and grants for businesses as well. But the main work that we do is all around awards, and we've got around sort of 15, 20 years experience of that. So hopefully today is going to be an opportunity to share some of that knowledge to you so that you can take some practical steps about preparing your entries, putting them together in constructing them in a way that makes sense, not just for you, but mainly for the judges. Hopefully that's going to really connect with them and just give you that opportunity to really celebrate your business, celebrate your achievements, and really harness the power of all the good things that awards can bring. So there is a bit of a plan. We're going to cover a few things here today. So we're going to do some insider knowledge, why awards are good for business. So if you're a little bit on the fence as to whether it's really right for you, then you can take this back into your for yourself, but also for any other team members, and just gives you that reassurance that you're on the right track and you are doing the right marketing activity here. We'll cover some best practice, some top tips, you know, ways in which you can select the right categories, which awards to go for, that sort of thing, and how you can really give yourself the strongest start in putting the awards together, even before an award has even come up for you to enter. We'll look at how sort of crafting the winning entries, what that actually looks like, the practical terms of things to include, where to include them, how you can present it in the best way for the judges. We'll also look a little bit on the maximising the value of being shortlisted, you know, how you can really push that forward as a celebration point, and the event itself. And then we'll finish off just with some awards to watch, things that, you know, ones that I would highly recommend that you have a look at. You may know of, you may not know of, where you can look for those, and then sort of some final closing before we do Q&A. So that's the plan. Like I say, we're going to run for probably about an hour, but hopefully I'll have you here for the whole hour. So where did it all begin? Well, ultimately, awards have been around our cultures, around us for a very, very long time. Back when we were doing the Olympics, when those first started, obviously, you know, that reward, that recognition for hard work, effort, achievements was presented then. It's slightly different now. Obviously, we don't have the laurels and the vases, but we do still have the trophies and we give the certificates as well. And obviously, we have the PR and the publicity that goes around it now as well. So it really has been ingrained in who we are. And that side of it is so, so important. I mean, we know as individuals when we were kids growing up now, you know, it's really important to have that recognition, to be sort of you know, for people to acknowledge that and to publicly acknowledge that as well, that what we've done has been successful, it's been worthwhile, you know, it's created some impact, some value beyond that initial activity that we were doing. So it's natural, really, that as we go through life now, we see lots of different awards across everything from when the first Oscars were presented back in the 1920s, all the way through to the food and drink. And now particularly, you will notice everything, particularly about award-winning wine, award-winning gin, award-winning food, award-winning everything in the run-up to Christmas. It's a really, really big time. And I think one thing that I really take away from that is that the brands are invested in awards. They are always shouting about their awards. You'll see it on telly, you'll hear it on the radio, you'll see it on liveries, on vans, on workwear, and all sorts of places. And I think that's really important, because if the big brands are doing it, then that really means that you should be doing it as well. They see a lot of value in it. They're including the award-winning words into their 30-second adverts, which costed a lot of money to do. So it's important that you then take that on. So for businesses, probably about 30, 40 years ago, business awards really started to take hold, and it's really grown since then. And now there are business awards for all sorts of industries, for all sorts of sectors, and all sizes of businesses as well, and all stages of business, which is really nice to see. So if you're thinking, I'm not really sure it's for me, there is something for you. It's about making sure that you've done all the legwork first, background and understanding of who you are as a business first, in order to make sure that you're choosing the right awards for you at the right time in your business. So other reasons why you should definitely enter business awards in this next 12 months and beyond. It's going to enhance your reputation and your company profile. It's a given. You will be networking, you'll be connected to lots of other award finalists and then award winners in the room. By being part of that, you'll make collaborations, connections, opportunities, business growth, mentorship, all sorts of opportunities can come from being part of the awards themselves. It'll raise your company profile, because other people will be celebrating you just as much as you, which is great. Then they will talk about you to their contacts, to their businesses, and make introductions for you just as much as you would for them as well. So that company profile, that brand, your brand, is then going to be enhanced and grown and developed naturally just by being part of this awards program. If you've got team, if you're growing team, it's going to motivate them. It's going to make them feel they're connected to something exciting, to something interesting, that they want to be more productive, they want to engage more with the business and what the business vision is. So you are going to see more productivity from your team members by having these awards. And it's a real, they really feel like ownership and part of that as well, which is really exciting. And, you can really take that on and grow with that. And if you are recruiting new talent, you're highly likely to attract some really good talent by being an award-winning business as well, because people are going to put, which is the best company to work for in whatever industry, and then you're naturally going to be coming up in the feed if you've done a lot of promotion and stuff around your award win and celebrating you're the best of the best. That's then going to feed into the Google searches and things, and then you're going to come up top, and then people are going to approach you for opportunities to work with them as well. Delivering a benchmark of excellence, so having that third-party endorsement from somebody else, from that bank of respected judges, from the business community, the wider business community, the people who are involved, is going to give you some real kudos there, and it's going to give you that level playing field where naturally you were there, and now you're going to be lifted up to here, and you are going to be looked at as that excellence. For your excellence, people are going to want to come to you and find out a little bit more about what you do, how you do it, why is it that you got that award. So it's going to raise your profile in that respect, but it's going to make sure that you're at a certain level as well. The hard part is then for the next 12 months, maintaining that benchmark of excellence and pushing on and going even higher and stronger with it. Industry recognition can be a bit of a double-edged sword. So, you're going to be recognized within your industry for doing exceptional work. You've got to maintain that. People are then sometimes going to be like, I'm not sure about this. I don't think they, why have they got that? There might be a little bit of jealousy that comes in. So they might want to sort of go and try and sort of surpass you in that next year, which is why it's really hard to sort of keep going at that level. And you've got to keep building and growing forward to move forward in order to make sure that, next year you can apply again and you can still retain that benchmark of excellence going forward. But that industry recognition is hopefully going to push you to keep building stronger and better with your business. The actual process of putting your award entry together is really, really valuable. And I think that's one of the key things that perhaps gets overlooked. The business review that you do when you put your award entry together is a real deep dive into your business. It's a deep dive into your figures, into, some of your statistics, your evidence, things that we'll need to draw out to make a really solid entry. That analysis is going to be really, really detailed. So that process of actually doing that may flag up some opportunities that you'd overlook, because we're so busy going, yeah, we've done that, let's move on to the next project, next project, next project. Actually, what you need to do is just sort of really review what you've got, deep dive into it and go, okay, I hadn't realized how successful that was. And now actually we need to do more of that. How can we do more of that? Or the other side of it is, okay, this is the information that these judges need. Do we have that information? And if we don't, how can we start collecting that information? We might not be ready for the award entry this year, but for next year, let's make sure that our business processes are all feeding in to give us that valuable information. I hear so many times, oh, we've been meaning to do that. We've been meaning to collect that. We've been meaning to do that. So many times from businesses that I write for, that just say, oh, yeah, we need to do that anyway. And we've been thinking about that. And it's just actually the award then has prompted them to make sure that they've got that information coming into the business that they can then analyse, make better decisions from in the future. PR opportunities, obviously there's going to be loads. Socials is going to be led by yourselves for your business, celebrating that. Also the award organisers, so make sure you follow and link in with them to make sure that they're sharing out your good news stories as well. But it could lead to, writing articles for a local newspaper, a magazine, an industry magazine, but business publication, something along those lines that's going to help build your brand, build your personal profile, and help people engage with you, which is then going to help drive your business forward. Positive actions, productivity, and progress. So all of these things are part of doing some really positive things for your business. Even if you don't win, don't feel that it's a negative experience, because actually just take value in the process, take value in the opportunity, learn from it, and do better next time. Don't let just one entry, if you didn't get shortlisted, be the one that just goes, oh, it was rubbish, never doing that again. Because you're never going to win every single one every single time. That's the nature of how it works. We don't do that in life anyway. Learn from the mistakes, learn from the way in which you've presented something. Maybe it needs tailoring, tweaking to make it better for next time. There's loads of opportunities for learning here. So, it's all about then being more productive in what you do and progressing forward. And of course, we are in business to make money. Now, even if you're a not-for-profit, you still need to make some money through grants, through corporate donations or legacies, or all sorts of different things there. But it is about getting that financial return from the activity that you're doing. And it is a proven fact that you can generate income and you can increase your financial position quite dramatically, actually, from entering and winning business awards. So we're just going to do a little quiz in the next one. So this is it's a very, very tailored down version, by the way, but it's a study that was done, I think, back in 2010, and I don't think there's been many other award studies that have been done on businesses and their success rates and things beyond entering those an award. But this tracked 120 companies, award-winning companies, against 120 of their comparative businesses who haven't won awards, tracked them over a 1 to sort of 3 year period, and saw how much return and growth they had overall as a business as a result of winning a particular award. So what I want you to do in the chat, just out of interest, I just will take literally just put 3 numbers down to fill the gaps into these 3 statements here from the study. So I want you to put in a percentage that says so smaller award-winning companies, so a small company experienced a something percentage growth in sales after winning their award. I want you to put a percentage in for large award-winning companies enjoyed a something percentage growth in sales after winning their award. And then for the last percentage, in the last year of monitoring, winning companies experienced even greater increases against the performance of comparison companies with sales growing by an average of something percentage. So literally just take a few moments now, well, literally a minute, to pop down 3 numbers and then I will give you the results in a moment. So we'll see what we've got. Okay, so we've got things like 20, 50, 60, 10, 30. Oh, quite low number. Oh, got a high one there. We've got 80. Excellent. Interesting. It's always find it quite fascinating, this, to see what people's opinions are of the value of awards and what that return can actually look like. So interesting to see that. So thank you to everybody who took part. I will now share the results. And if you get close to it with your numbers, then give yourself a pat on the back. Unfortunately, we're not in an in-person one. Otherwise, you'd get an amazing bag of sweets if you were the closest team to win, but not this time. So, okay, the first one is 39%. So, as most of us on here are probably small businesses, what does 39% mean to you as a growth in sales in a year after winning your first award? That's quite a significant amount, isn't it, really? Just from the awards, not from anything else, just from the awards themselves. So I think, you know, take that, write down what your last turnover figure was, work out what 39% is, and then think, okay, is it worth going for it? Probably is. And actually, I think that's quite conservative, really, because I know businesses who've won awards who have gone on to be absolutely, you know, 100% growth in that following year. My business personally, I experienced huge growth in my business after winning and being on find the F Entrepreneur list. Incredible opportunities that came from that. So I think it's about your marketing, it's about your collaboration, your connections, you developing yourself. So you can really benefit from that. The next one is 37%. So again, good strong figures there for large businesses. You know, they've got a lot more factors to, I suppose, to put into their business. When you're talking maybe big numbers of employees, big numbers of sites, all that kind of stuff. So large companies, 37% growth in sales. And then in the last year of monitoring, the sales growing by an average of 77%, which is incredible. So if there's anybody in your business that says, no, we shouldn't be doing anything around awards, it's a waste of money, waste of time, show them these figures, and then hopefully they'll come over the line with you. Again, some more figures that might be able to substantiate and support you in that message to the team. So Lidl's gin, again, award-winning Christmas gin. When they did that announcement, their Lidl gin searches online grew by 732%, which is incredible. So, you know, that will have translated into actual sales. That could be you. That could be you and your business. You can translate those searches into sales as well. So, you know, award-winning businesses, award recognition really does have some impact and financial return and value to you. Okay, so now we're going to go on to some best practice top tips. And for me, it's a bit like cooking. So there's lots of different ingredients that go into making the award entry. Obviously, there's your story initially. There's the evidence, there's the testimonials, there's the images, there's the logo, there's all the different areas of the business that need to go into that. So there's lots of different things that go into this, dots of ingredients that go into making a really solid and an exceptional award entry. So we're going to go over that as we go forward now. But first things first, before we do anything at all, we need to look at our time management, because time is so valuable and time is such a key thing that we have very little of, even though we all have the same amount of hours and minutes and seconds every day. It's how we use that. So we really need to be clear about that, particularly with the awards side of things. My first bit of advice would be move the deadline. So if you've got a deadline of the 16th of September, I would then bring that back by a week. So that gives you a week's buffer zone so that you can then, you know, if you're ill or if you're waiting for some more information or somebody else wants to proofread it, you've got it there. You've got that space there to do it. Equally, if you are perhaps just you found this award like 4 days ago and the deadline's coming up, phone the award organisers. They will do what they can to help and support you, even if they leave it open just for another day, just gives you a bit more time. But if you don't speak to them, you'll not find out. Often quite a lot of the awards do extend their deadlines as well, but you won't necessarily find that out until the day of the deadline. So always work to the deadline or before where you can, and then hope that they might extend it. There's some that absolutely won't, and they say that very clearly at the beginning. Others have a bit of a pattern of doing that. So just see maybe historically, or give them a call to see if there's any indication of you being able to extend it very, very slightly. So the planning is obviously a key part. So this is part of your planning for putting your award entry, and you're going to get the time back. So the more you do now in terms of preparation for preparing any of the written content, your supporting materials, getting yourself organized on the entry systems and familiar with those, the more you can do there, the more time it's going to save you later on when it actually comes to deadline day. And the deadline might be 11:59 and you're on 11:48 PM, you've got to submit, and suddenly things start to crash. The more prep you've done, hopefully you shouldn't even get to that point at all. Avoidance behavior, we've all done it. This I recognize as, I'm just going to make a coffee, send these few emails, make this phone call, go to the loo, then I'm going to put this award entry together. So if you find yourself doing that, you're avoiding it. If it's on the top of your list of things to do, you're avoiding it. And if it remains there for the next 3 weeks, you're still avoiding it. So sometimes you just need to recognize that and go, do you know what? I just need to get on and do this. Now, ways in which you can do that and get your mindset in a better place to do that is through the single handling technique. So give yourself a deadline to collect all the information together, then go and just say to the rest of your team or those around you, I'm just going to spend the next 3 hours nailing this award entry, getting as much done as I possibly can by turning off the Wi-Fi, turning off the distractions, and getting really focused, single handling technique, single focus on that piece of work. You'll be, I think, 35% more productive with your time, and actually the flow of work will come more naturally as well because of doing that. So that's a way, if you're short on time, to be able to maximize it. Eat that frog. If anybody hasn't heard of Brian Tracy, he's the absolute guru of time management. Absolutely recommend reading his book, watching all his stuff online, getting the downloads and things as well, because so you can plan out the night before what your frogs are that you're going to eat the next day. And if you imagine the award entry is a big slimy frog that's on your desk, and the more you leave it, the more you don't do that job, the worse it gets, the more time, more smelly and slimy and everything it gets. That's what's happening. So if you eat those frogs when you're the most productive in your time, whether that's first thing in the morning or whenever your day starts, eat your top 3 frogs, award entry being one of them, to get it out the way. Then you can clear your head and you can focus on your normal day-to-day job from then on. And that leads nicely into obviously getting writing. The sooner you can get writing, the better, because we don't want you to be left behind like these guys at the end. So, it's all about time management, really, and mapping out your diary and making sure you've allocated the right amount of time. So the recipe for success. So preparation time, if you've never done an award entry before and you're starting completely from scratch, I would say a minimum of 12 hours to allocate to starting to pull it all together, going on the entry system, having a look at what's required, really sort of digesting all of that, getting some information from other team members if you have them, doing the testimonials collection and all that kind of stuff, and then doing the financial data deep dives and that sort of thing. So you'll need at least 12 hours to start pulling that all together and making sense of it all to make it look right. It's not something that, the judges expect quite a high standard now. You can't just sort of think, oh, I can just pull it together and it'll be okay. Some people may be able to do that. I'm not saying that not everybody can do that, but most people, you need a little bit more planning, time, preparation to make sure that because ultimately this is your story. This is a marketing opportunity. You're showcasing your business to a group of judges, and then beyond that to the wider business community. You want to make sure that you've done it to the best of your ability and given it the right value and time that it deserves. So cooking time is when it's with the judges. So you've submitted it and it's with the judges. Now that could be just the application itself, or there could be a judge's interview that's in that time. Sometimes it'll be a short window of time before, when you've submitted, shortlist is out, and then the dinner, that could be in a 2 or 3 month period. Sometimes it could be 6, 8 months period, where you have to wait until the last one. So until you find out. Who does it serve? Obviously, you as a business, your staff, your customers, suppliers, investors. If you're looking for investors, if you're looking to sell the business, these are great. This is a great way of increasing the value of your business. Obviously to other consultants, freelancers you work with, shareholders, etc. So it really has an all-round effect and positive effect on everybody who's connected to your business. So who should be writing it? You. As if you're the business owner, yes, absolutely. The person who is the chef, who is bringing all of this ingredients together and making it right, has to be able to write effectively and concisely, because there will be word counts on everything. So you really need to be mindful of that. They need to have knowledge. So I wouldn't always recommend that you've got a marketing junior, they've only just started last week. Here you go, here's an award entry, write that, do everything that needs to be done. It's not very fair on them unless you use that as a learning to learn about the business. So then they have to interview you as the owner or the team, the senior management team, the leadership teams, etc., to get that knowledge and information. But also the marketing junior might not be the appropriate person to collect all that financial information and data as well. So be mindful of what's expected and what's required, and who would be the right person to access that information and present it. Obviously time, we've discussed time already, and they need to be honest and creative with that honesty. So in that respect, so if you've got some financial figures, for example, no way, shape or form should you inflate or make them over, what they should be. It's absolutely, they are what they are. But there are ways that you can present that. So if you have got, say, 100% increase in your turnover, but your turnover is quite low in comparison to maybe some other businesses, you could say you've got 100% increase in turnover. If it doesn't ask for actual financial figures, you can talk about the growth in percentage terms instead. So you're not lying, you're just being creative and putting your best foot forward, making sure that your story is coming out in the best way and the most impressive way for your business. Judges will do their due diligence, as they should do. They will check your figures and your claims. So one thing really to be mindful of is if your website is old, with old content on, and it's not really saying what you're saying or who you are as a business now, then make sure you put some time and energy into updating the content on there, because they will do their checks on the website and just have a look and see if that all marries up and makes sense. So how to choose the right category. Ultimately, it's about your story. So this is what awards are all about. And this is something that you can do before you even start submitting any entries at all, because this will really help you identify where your strengths and weaknesses are in your business and what the showcase items are that you want to present through awards. So what you can start doing, documenting down on a separate piece of paper or on your laptop or whatever, like what has been your business journey since you started? You may have only started this year, you may have started 10 years ago, you may have started 25 years ago, 100 years ago. Document that journey, make sure it makes sense and it gives you that all-round sort of, this is our opening piece, this is who we are, this is where we came from, this is where we're at now. Write down your top achievements and success stories in the last 12 months. Awards really do only follow you for the last 12 to 18 months at a push, depending on the deadlines. Some deadlines extend beyond a 12-month period. So you need to be able to present to the judges what those top achievements and success stories are. But ultimately, when you're mapping this out, this will give you an indicator of which categories you're most aligned to when they come up and when you can see them. So if you've done some incredible investment into sustainability and going green as a business, then you may want to enter that particular category. If you do pretty well at everything, then you may be better going for small business, because you can bring in lots of factors into that. If you've got a standout recruitment program or something that's about employee supporting your employees and your work development side of things, then that should come out. We've had great apprenticeship programs, okay, workforce employee development programs. That might be a good category then, but you may not be fully aware of all the different successes in your business that you can then bring in and actually align those to specific categories. So this legwork now will give you that chance to be able to find all of that out and really push forward and get the right category for you. Also, really need to be aware of what makes you different from your competitors. So know what your marketplace looks like. what your local marketplace look like, what it regional, what it nationally looks like, bring in some stats, some evidence, and things to talk about that, so you understand where you fit in that bigger picture, and know what your USP is. So why do customers buy from you and not from them? And again, that's a process that you can integrate in. So you might want to go back to your customers and ask that question. Then that gives you some real evidence, and then that brings out your USP. So there's some things here that you can do before you even start putting your entry together. What the judges are looking for. Now, again, this group of words is something that, you know, you can feed into your award entry. You can highlight as key areas of success points for you. But what you can actually do with this is take each word and write down a statement as to in what way do you meet that word. So how are you being successful in business? Have you had expansion? Okay, what's that enabled you to do as a business? Has it enabled you to grow your customer base? Obviously, employ more local workforce, etc. What are your good working practices? What does your customer satisfaction rates look like? What's your client retention rate? How are you measuring your results, and what are those results against those targets that you set at the beginning? One key thing that I would definitely avoid is jargon. So if you are quite a technical business and there's a lot of technical terms and things in there, try to sort of not include them in such a way that's going to be a bit confusing, because not all the judges are going to have that technical expertise with them as well. So, you know, you need to make sure that it makes sense without being overly difficult to sort of process really and understand. Bearing in mind, these judges are reading lots and lots of award entries, so you need to make it really easy to digest, really understandable, but bring in that passion, bring in that love for what you do. Make sure that they know that you are so proud of your business, and that you are really pushing for, you know, to be unique, to be different, to really break the mold in your business, if that's where you're going with it. You know, so there's ways in which you can take this slide, you know, take a screenshot of it or whatever, but use this slide actually to start documenting some aspects of your business, because then you can start building that into your award entries again. So this is where all this planning is going to give you that time back when you actually come to putting the entry together. So some top tips for preparing the submission. You can either go in first or third person. I would recommend first person, I or we, but stick to it all the way through. That's a key thing that you should definitely do. Begin with that strong evidence-based statement. So to capture the judge's attention and make them go, "Oh, this is an interesting business. I want to read more." Ultimately, you want to connect with them. You want to make them go, "Ooh, right, give me more, give me more. This sounds great." You know, you want to impress them with everything that you're doing. So just capture them in that first opening sentence as much as possible, and then start delivering on your key criteria points later on. As you're going through, think about, okay, this is a statement about customer service. How can I back that up with some evidence? This is a statement about my clients and how we've grown. Okay, do we have figures around that? Do we have a growth rate on that? If we've got socials, you know, where did it start? Where's it come to in terms of followers and engagement and an actual business that you can track through that? So where are the evidence points that you can bring in to make sure that you've got that really, really detailed and sound award entry that gives lots and lots of information? And tell your story. It is all about the story, as we said earlier. It really is about, you know, people sort of looking at you and going, okay, this is great. I love the way that this is unfolded. This is really interesting. You know, bring that passion and love for who you are and what your business is all about into there. And it will naturally just form a really, really fantastic award entry. Word count is really key. A lot of online systems now will automatically kick you off if you go over word count. Some don't. Some ask you for a PDF where it's got to be a certain amount of words. If it doesn't say the word count is just a guide, please just don't go too much over. Unless it says that, always try to be within the word count. I've judged on awards before where there's been a 68 word response to a 400 word question. that's just not enough. Either it wasn't the right person, they didn't have the information, or they just weren't ready as a business. So if you're finding that you can't answer a question, either you haven't got that information there, maybe you need to relook at it, or maybe you just need to pass it on to somebody else to do. But try to be within 10% of that overall word count if you can. I try to be absolutely on it with that. I am a bit of a word count freak, I have to say, but I do live my life by word count. But yeah, so, try and make it, you might just be one word over, and that's really frustrating. And the systems don't allow that, especially if they're working in characters as well. So be mindful of that, because it's very hard to say everything you want to say in a very short amount of words. So you have to work quite carefully on that. So how to start? Like I say, this planning and preparation stuff, this is stuff you can do now before you even start entering anything. So prepare that short description for your business, or for a person that you're entering into an award. It'll be a number of different options here. So you'll either have 30 words, 50 words. Those are generally used in the publicity. So on the program for the night, or for the host to say about you. So those will be in third person. 100 words, general description of who you are as a business. 200, 250 words, what's your business, what do you do, what markets do you operate in? That's the sort of thing that you'd be putting into there. So that's something you can do now without even knowing about any other entries. When you do find the category that you want to enter, then you can break down that question into specific word criteria points. And when you know what those criteria points are, so either it'll be just a description, a paragraph, or it'll quite clearly say you need to cover this, this, and this. And that's really helpful, because then that gives you a real guidance on how many words you can allocate to which section. If it's a case of a paragraph description of this is what we're expecting to see, then take a highlighter and go over it and use them as the subheadings, as the criteria points. But divide the word count, so it could be 1,000 words, by the number of criteria points, and then you've got an idea of how much, so that you're not then missing something either. And the judges will know that you've given a response to every part of what they're looking for in their judging system. So an example of a startup award, which was 1,000 words, which was for a regional award in this last 12 months. They've got the description there, but they've also got specific criteria points that will be scored as well. So it's quite easy to navigate this, because you've got 5 criteria points, you've got 1,000 words. What I would say is allow a little bit of opening sentence, so maybe 50 or 100 words for your opening and your closing, and then split your other 900 words over those 5 points there. So you've got a bit of an idea then of how many words you can allocate to each section. And it's quite clear here. So you've got the identification of market opportunity. That's your story. So you've already written that, so that you can pull that in there. Evidence of significant growth, sustainable financial performance. That's obviously, that's your data, your facts, your figures, everything financially related, about your growth in terms of customers, finance, market expansion, business development, like all sorts of things that come in there. Innovative products, services, and/or operations that have led to the growth. So that's the why. Why did it come about? So again, your story, your success points, your success stories are going to come into play here. So we made this decision, resulted in this. We did this, resulted in that. We implemented this marketing campaign, generated this much results, which gave us this much revenue. It's those things that then you can, once you've written your story and you've got those success points, you can show the impact of that from a financial and growth perspective. Business strategy and plans for future growth. Again, that's your vision. That's what you're working towards. So by 2030, you want to have done this. You want to have achieved this. Year on year revenue growing by whatever. That's where they want to see that you've got legs in your business, basically, and they're not going to just give this award to a startup that then in 12 months' time is just going to go down the pan. They want to see that you've got clear strategy, clear focus, vision, and that you're moving forward with your idea. And sometimes, not all the time, it'll ask you about your ethical approach. So your sustainability side of things, diversity, equity, inclusion. those elements to it. Buy local, support small business, support local. Those will be the things that you can integrate into there. So that's always quite useful, to just be aware of the sorts of ways in which you've been asked to present it. And this obviously is new business, startup award, but similar sorts of things will be allocated to other generic ones like small business, medium business, other ones like that, business growth. You'll be asked similar sorts of questions on there. So your evidence side of things, it's really important because it shows your impact. It really gives value and everything to your results, and what you've done, and it evidences them clearly, and it demonstrates that you've got an understanding and knowledge around what you do. So things like testimonials, things like understanding what your social platforms of growth and engagement have been. You're presenting that before and after picture. So it's like, this is where we were, this is what we did, this is where we are now. What are your lead magnets? What are your things you're doing to attract new business? How are you retaining your customers and keeping them on board for the future? What does that sort of look like? So there's lots of different ways that you can present evidence and draw on that evidence, and pull it forward. So these are some of the examples there of how you can integrate that. But with every statement, like I'd said before, every statement that you write, make sure that you are supporting that with some kind of evidence statement as well, whether that's financial figures, fact, data, or some kind of testimonial. So this is an example of how we put together just a small part of an entry for a client a few years ago, many years ago now, actually. Goodness me, it's like 8 years ago, isn't it? But this is very much around customer service and how we documented what their strength was in terms of customer engagement and growth was over that year. This is a new business, started in the January. This was the December. These were the figures that we collected in that time. So he was very good at collecting all of this data and information. We presented it with bullet points so that it was actually really helpful for word count management as well. So we weren't doing lots and lots of big sentences and paragraphs and things. So that's something that you can think of as well. If you're finding you've got a lot of words that you need to say, actually maybe splitting it into bullet points might be a more succinct way of putting it to the judges, and actually it makes it help it jump off the page a bit rather than a big block of text as well. Case studies can be included if you've got space. I would say, if you've only got 1,000 words, you may not be able to include a case study in there because it might be too long, but it does need to relate to your category as well specifically. So don't just don't just think, oh, there's a case study we've done like 3 years ago, we'll put that in. It needs to be within the last 12 months and it needs to be relevant to what you're doing. But these, it's like GCSE English, isn't it? We kind of formulate your story, formulate the case study based on these key factors, and then that will help to sort of demonstrate and just give a little bit more evidence towards the statements that you're saying. Editing and proofreading is quite a big part of the process, so allow time for that. Again, we've got that check and send service, or I would recommend giving it to somebody who has an understanding of business, but not necessarily in your business, because things might be missed or things might be understood naturally because they're in the business, but by somebody who's reading it, who's out of the business, it may not make any sense. So this is where you can really be quite clear on, kind of making sure that your messaging is absolutely right. There's ways in which you can reduce your word count, again, through the editing side of things. You may find that you're sort of 100 words over. Okay, how can I make things sound better, more clear, more succinct, more concise? And then, there's still ways of saying things in a really strong way, just without all the floweriness of it. Spelling and grammar, punctuation, it's not going to be a deal breaker, but ultimately, the clearer you are, the better you are in those areas, the better the judges are going to read it, and then they're not going to be frustrated by things being in the wrong place. So you just want to make their life easy. You want to get them on board, basically. Supporting material, often you'll be asked to prepare some supporting material. This might be, just some imagery, some video links and things like that, but sometimes it might be 2 to 3 sides of A4. Usually saved as a PDF, but be careful of the PDF limit on that for the megabyte limit. You can prepare it in Canva if you're not very proficient in Adobe and preparing kind of the design work and things like that. If you've got internal design teams or external design teams that can do it, great. If they haven't, then just use Canva or something. It's really easy to use. This is not an opportunity to write more words. It is an opportunity to just bring your entry to life. So things that you've mentioned in there, you may want to then bring out as an image or a visual in the supporting material. Just gives a little bit more weight to it. You can frame your testimonials as images as well. So you kind of brand it up as an image rather than it being written stuff in there, because it may not be reviewed in the same way otherwise. So background information in that it could be like a timeline journey of your business. If it's over a number of years, there's been certain factors that have gone in there. It could be company graphs, all sorts of different things. So think visual when you're doing the supporting material. This is an example of one we did for a client. The 3 pages there, we've got some reviews in there, we've got some graphs in there, we've got some images of the work they do, team image and things as well. So nice to have that, you know, really as a showcase piece really for them. And that's something, again, that you can start pulling together sooner rather than later as that evidence piece. So how to maximise the award shortlist and the win. We do have a guide to entering business awards, which we can download, we can send to anybody who wants it. We do also give some direction to those finalists who there's a checklist, and actually we have a QR code here. If you want to go and have a look at that, you can go to the checklist site page on the website and just see different ways in which you can celebrate your finalist position. When it comes to the win itself, or the event itself rather, there's things that you can do in advance of that. So you've obviously got all the details of all the people who are shortlisted. You can start connecting with them, doing celebration messages, linking them in with it, you know, tagging them into it, tagging the award organisers in. So it's an all-round celebration post for everybody. You can actually send out maybe some lumpy mail to everyone. Just say, looking forward to meeting you on the night. You know, congratulations on being a finalist. You know, let's see what the night brings, kind of thing. Just send them something, gets you in front of them. Or if there's a particular company that you want to get in front of on the night, find out where they are on the table plan, go up to them, give you business cards. So I'd really like to connect with you afterwards. There are ways in which you can do business in that room, and it's there to really promote and develop you and give you an opportunity to push your business forward. Not only will you have your name in lights in front of 300 people, you know, your business description, your logo, your brand will all be out there in the program as well. There's lots of other ways in which you can start building that and use it as a real networking opportunity for you. There's yeah, so that's really that. And obviously press releases, PR that you can do in advance of the event itself, and on the night, take some really good pictures, make sure that you're doing quality posts, that you've got a well thought out post that's going, and you, again, can be done pre-done in advance of the event itself, so that it's ready to hit on that following morning, and getting on everybody's feed first thing in the morning. So there's lots of good things that you can do to really help, you know, promote your business, get your brand out there as part of being a finalist and then being a winner as well. So some awards, one to watch. We're kind of coming towards the end of it now, of the webinar. There's loads out there, as you would imagine. If you are female-led, female-focused, there's some really lovely ones here. If you are startup, there's some great ones. The Startup Awards, but you've also got other awards which are related. So New Business of the Year, Startup of the Year award as categories, and lots of other different awards that are out there. So it's not necessarily specific to being female or being in a particular industry, but they will be there. National awards, and then your local and your regional awards are there as well. So check out your local newspapers, check out your Chamber of Commerce's. They will all be running their own awards programs. There are regional awards that happen. Some of them don't have awards like events and things at the end. I'd be a little bit more wary of any voting ones, just personally, just because I think sometimes the voting ones can just be a case of how many friends you've got who can vote for you. majority of the awards that we write and we recommend to our clients are ones where you have to write it yourself. You put your application in, you present your story in the way that you want it presented, and you are the leader in that process as well, rather than other people doing it for you. So I'd be mindful of that, and just make sure that you have ultimate control, basically, of the awards that you want to enter. And of course, we have to talk about the small awards, because these are opening in just a few weeks' time. These are absolutely relevant, and obviously run in conjunction with Small Business Britain. So completely appropriate to be shouting about these awards today. So they do celebrate the incredible achievements of small businesses across the UK. You know, whether you're a startup, community champion, solo, sole trader, you know, there's lots of great categories in this. So I would definitely go on the website, have a look at the new from the 1st of December, go on there, have a look and see all the categories that might be relevant. Do your pre-work now, so you're ready, and then really make a push for entering these awards, because they're great recognition. You're in a fantastic safe space for putting your award entry together for these as well, and it will give you a real benchmark as to if you're hitting it right, and if you're not, then you can work on it through the year as you go ahead. But absolutely, enter these awards. I know I'm going to be recommending them to a number of my clients and to my wider network of business community as well. So really, really do go forward with that. We have come to the end of the webinar now. So these are my contact details. If anybody would like to connect with me on any of the platforms, please do. If you've got any particular questions that you want to talk to me privately about as well, very happy to do that. So yeah, hopefully I wish you all the best of luck going forward with your awards, and hopefully this has been really valuable to give you some step-by-step practical tips for you to be able to go ahead and really harness the power of business awards.
Thank you, Lucinda. That was so practical of useful information. In fact, you have quite a few questions that have come in.
Oh no, that's good and bad, I think.
No, we'll go through as many as we can before we get to 12. But if not, obviously all your contact details are on the screen. So, and you're happy for people to kind of get in touch, aren't you, if they have any
Yes,
questions?
absolutely.
So I will start at the beginning. So the first one was, with getting in early, how do you measure ROI for awards, i.e. entry fee, attendance costs, etc.? They don't put
Um,
there because of cost versus reward sometimes.
Yeah, I think it is difficult. So I think you've just got to be really mindful of your budget and only do what you can afford to do. There are lots of free ones out there. There are some with very small entry fees. So maybe start off with the kind of the free ones, the more local ones, and things that aren't going to hit the bank balance too hard. The I think ultimately it's about what you put in to get out as well. So if you are then working that room on the night, if you are really maximizing the PR opportunities that come from entering and then being a finalist and then hopefully winning, the value that will be there, because that will naturally help you build your business and generate more revenue and opportunities for you as a business. So I think it's just having that strategy. So it's not that kind of scattergun approach of like just going for everything and anything and then not really seeing any value. It's being strategic, looking at what your successes and achievements are, really being aligned correctly with the right award entry to go for, and taking the learning as part of that as well. So you're not always going to win, you're not always going to be shortlisted, but there's always something to learn. So I think go with that approach, you know, and then the cost. I mean, some of the marketing awards that we put clients forward for that are absolutely needed for them in their businesses, they're really high, you know, the entry fees and stuff, and they're quite prohibitive to a lot of companies and small businesses and things as well. But there are other ways of doing that. So I think, you know, start with the right ones and do as much as you can around that to really maximize it, and then you'll see the value and the benefit from it.
Yeah, definitely. And again, not to plug the small awards from us, but they are actually free entry on those. So
Yeah,
there are a few about, I believe. How long should a business be trading before submitting award applications?
I would say at least 12 months, and then you've got 12 months of data and evidence. However, That said, very recently I put in a client. She only started a business in March, but she has had such incredible growth in that 6 to 8 months that we've just felt, well, we can't not, because it's a local business award. She is a local business to where she is, and she was just doing incredibly. So we have, and she's actually been shortlisted for the 3 awards that we've put her forward for, which is amazing. So normally I would say about 12 months. So you've got some really strong evidence of, kind of the start and the finish of that 12-month period. But, anything beyond, yeah, that would probably be my benchmark, unless you've had really high growth in that first 6 to 8 months, in which case, timing wise, it'd be foolish to miss that opportunity straight away.
Definitely. Thank you. So there's one that said they won the IELTS 100 in January 2025,
Yay.
and didn't really utilize the award for PR, so haven't benefited from it much, because no one really knew about it. I struggle with bragging about myself and the win. So how do you suggest, like, how's a good way of doing this and making it work for them?
So I would go back to all the other 100 winners, connect with them on LinkedIn, and you won't be on your own there. There will be a lot of people that sort of win, and business gets busy and you feel a bit uncomfortable about shouting about yourself and things. If you do, get somebody else to do it for you. So get somebody else to write those pieces for you if it feels uncomfortable to do it for yourself. Because it's coming to the end of that year of being on that list for this year, what you can do is my year as a top 100 F entrepreneur, I also winner.
Yeah, like a recap.
You can do that review recap and just celebrate your business achievements in that year, by sort of using that as that, and then linking in obviously with the teams there and stuff, so that they can hopefully share that good news story out. But it doesn't finish after that year. You're still connected as an alumni as well. So it doesn't ever really end. It's in that year. If you haven't had the chance to do it, then do a nice recap in December of my year as a top 100 F entrepreneur. And then that helps to celebrate that in a positive way, and send that to your local press as well, because they always like nice, good news stories. And if you did the event in March and you've got a picture of you down at the House of Lords, then you've got your nice picture as well that you can put with it. So
Yeah, definitely.
don't despair.
The recap's a really good idea as well, because you're coming up to the perfect time to kind of do it
Yeah,
now as well. So
exactly.
you
Yeah.
can jump on it. And then we've got time for a couple more. So someone had asked, would you, oh, they said can we, but I mean obviously you can do whatever, but would you recommend AI to help write the applications?
So AI, in my opinion, it's a starting block. It's never the finished product. So if you are struggling to create that first, and you're sitting there going, oh my God, I have no idea what to write, or really struggling because I don't like writing about myself and find it really hard, and I find it really hard to write my own award entries. It took ages for me to write my F Entrepreneur one, because I was like, where do I even start? I don't even know what to say. So it is really hard. It's easier for somebody else to do it for you. But AI gives a good, if you put the right prompts in at the beginning and just say, but be mindful of all the words and the phrasing that they use, that's very
Yeah.
AI. The long dashes, the word rooted, and all of furthermore, therefore, these words that previously we would have used without any problem, but now it's so overly used, and actually it just sounds too AI, even when it wasn't AI done before. So I would say yes, use it as a chance to give you some ideas, maybe ideas on structure. Kind of put your attachments in and say, draw from this the key things, because actually I can't really see it because I'm in it too much. And then it kick out some stuff, but then you've got to be able to make it real to you, to your voice. But it does give you just a starting point. But I would never just go, write me an award entry and then submit. Never.
Yeah.
That's not, and I wouldn't expect anybody to do that these days now anyway. But yeah, use it as a tool. It's a tool, but it's never the finished article. So
It's a good soundboard if you're on your own and you need to bounce
yeah, and
ideas.
you can sense check things as well, as with it, and just say, is the phrasing right on this, or I've stuck on this, you might have a sentence that just doesn't sound right, and then just put it in, just rework that sentence for me to make it sound
Yeah.
better. And they do a really good job sometimes, sometimes it's not so good, and you have to just be really careful.
Yeah, always worth checking, like you say, the
Yeah.
extra long dashes and things
Yeah.
sometimes they give away.
Oh, drives me mad.
Thank you, Lucinda. There is a few more questions, but if you want to get in touch with Lucinda, then I'll take her details down, and we can share them as well when we send out the replay link for this webinar. So you will be able to rewatch this back if anyone hasn't managed to get all the notes down they wanted. So big thank you to you, and thank you for all the small businesses for joining again. It's so nice to see so many of you on here. So big thank you. And if you want to get in touch with Lucinda, do feel free. She's more than happy to answer a few extra questions.
Lovely. Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this.
You're
And
more than welcome.
yeah, good luck, everybody.
Thank you.